Hi folks, and welcome back to the plot. We have had an absolute downpour. All the water butts are full, nearly overflowing. The ground looks so nice and dark, and I really think it was much needed. It's been, I can't remember the last time we had actual proper rain. We've had a few little, dribs and drabs. Maybe it was trying for half an hour, but over the last few days it's been bucketing it down for hours, and much needed, I think. So I've come down on Saturday morning just to have a little look around. I'm sure we'll get a few jobs done. The cabbages seem to have responded quite well to a severe pruning. This brigadier, absolutely massive. That harvest one, the one that I harvested as well, just incredible. These, they're not looking great actually. Still just an awful lot of powdery mildew. A few people in the comments did recommend, I think it was 1 part milk, 2 parts water, can really help. I completely forgot to do that ahead of today, of course. Quite a tricky thing to remember. Normally I'm just like camera, water, bag to bring home harvest, and then I just head out. And that one that I harvested, the Brigadier, a whopper, 2.5 kilograms after I'd trimmed it and prepared it. Absolutely fantastic. We've got quite a lot of cabbage to eat, so I'm glad we don't have too many, to be honest, because if I had planted many more than this, we'd definitely get sick of cabbage. We'd definitely get sick. Let's have a look in the greenhouses. There'll be a bit to harvest today. The aubergines are still coming thick and fast. Easier if I show you around this side, actually. Someone shared in the Discord, our Discord, they said, what was it, aubergine parmigiana is a good one to try, so I might do that with the next one. This is sort of one of the things I do want to do to get these, slightly, is that cucumber? Oh, that's cucumber, that's fine. But these long forgotten squashes we're going to get out today. Oh, hello, hello. Yes, first ripe beaver dam. One of my favourites. This is a chili chump recommendation. Absolutely fantastic pepper. A little bit of spice, but mostly sweet. The plot itself is just looking fantastic, if I do say so myself. With the rain has come a little bit of weed pressure. Last time I was up here on the weekend, I did do a bit of weeding and cutting everything back. We've even had some blossom end rot actually on these outdoor tomatoes, which gives you a real sign of how dry it's been. Do you have a few ripe ones? These are the rose crush, still a little firm. Could maybe do with another day or two on the plant. Jungle greenhouse, yep, still a jungle. One thing I did want to mention, the sea of grass you often see behind me, under new management, not me. I haven't taken this one on. All right, a few people around the plot asked if I might be interested, but absolutely not. This is a full-size 10-rod plot adjacent my full-size 10-rod plot. And normally what they do here is they give them away in fives. So you get a half plot, an old half plot, and that's how you start off. And if you're doing pretty well, then they might give you a full-size one. Now what they've done next door is actually given this to a new young lady who I met very briefly, very nice. Her dad has got a plot on the site, but they did give this away around 3 weeks ago now, and she's not knocked back the grass yet, but fingers crossed. It is quite daunting taking on something like this, but this one wouldn't actually be too bad to take on once you got the structure back. It used to be mint, so a lot of love has gone into this. Once you get the structure back, find out where the paths are. Probably not too bad, but easier said than done. I'm not the one doing it. You can hear the irrigation system is in full swing. Look at this, knapweed. One of the wildflowers I've actually managed to get established in the little mini meadow. Seems louder than it used to be. Might be struggling because I put a bit of fertilizer in here. There is one major disaster in the polytunnel, I would say. Can you see what it is? Spider mites on the cucumber. It's always the cucumber they seem to go for first. You might be able to see the webbing there. We're at full-blown infestation stage. Now, so long as they stay on the cucumber and don't move to the tomatoes, not something I'm going to cry about. Might get a nice little tomato harvest today. Still coming in sort of slowly. Haven't had to do any big freezes yet. Just delighting in eating them fresh. They are really good. Lithium sunset. Oh, what a stunner. I think next year I could see myself just doing 8 lithium sunset plants, just do one whole row across the entire back of the polytunnel, because it is just amazing. Still looking a bit tatty and tired at the back of the plot. I have gone through and harvested lots of pea seeds though, which is great. I could just now get rid of all this. Probably should do that at some point, but this sad sad. Like, what is this, you know? Absolutely terrible. Awful, awful onions this year. So what I'm going to do is just put some squash in here. Good way to get that bed used. These are looking very slugged, actually, these beans. They didn't have a great year, the Kalima, unfortunately. Some nice harvests, though. But exciting news. Well, it's sort of a mixed thing on the plums. You'll notice these aren't purple. They are golden, but some of them are ripe. I've eaten one. I actually ate a plum off these trees, and it turns out they are a golden plum. They don't ripen to, you know, plum colour. If you see them going plum colour, that's actually just the ones that have got botrytis. So it is in here, the botrytis is in here, but it doesn't seem as bad as previous years, and hopefully that's the pruning doing its job. This one, slightly overripe, actually, and you can see that little sort of sticky sap stuff. That's excreted, I guess, by little bugs that are in here. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's the little bugs. Hey, what are you doing? Excuse you. No, thank you. What are you after? What do you want from me? Do you want a plum? Do you want a mouldy old plum? This is actually bizarre. The pigeons are normally terrified. What are you after? What are you still doing here? You're in my bed, actually. Do they eat the Kalima beans? It really feels like it's hunting for something. I don't know what. What a strange little pigeon interruption. It's still just pootling around back there. Anyway, shall we plant a few of these squash? Find some space for them. Well, there's plenty of space for them, but let's get them in the ground. See how they go. It might be too late. I mean, that is what I'm thinking. That's what you've seen from the thumbnail, isn't it? There's only one way to find out. Hopefully, with all the rain, it should be nice and easy getting them in the ground. Okay, so specimen number one. Look at this. This squash in a little 1 litre pot. I think it's a butternut squash. It looks better than some of the ones I planted out weeks ago. Now, I will say, not very good at hardening off. Probably should have been hardening these off over the last few weeks. It's definitely, but this pigeon is still, what are you just flapping around? It's very distracting, don't you know? What are you looking for? Why are you coming closer? Very friendly, kind of charmed by him. Hopefully the pigeon won't eat this one, but we'll get it in the ground and I'll put another one in there. And also this one, I am going to get the manure out. I'm going to get top dressing. A lot of people do recommend a summer dressing of manure as well as a spring. Yeah, what? You're standing around on all the crinkly stuff and making loads of noise. He is after the peas. I don't really mind. I've taken my crops now. Can you eat dried peas, pigeon? Wow, I'm getting seriously distracted, aren't I? But yeah, a few of these beds, they won't need a summer mulch because I put just so many wheelbarrows of the mushroom compost all over them. But the ones up here, they've not had so much. And one of the reasons I've been putting off manure mulching is because, well, the ground has been so dry. And before you do a manure mulch, it's a really good idea to properly saturate the bed to make sure all of that is locked in when you top dress the manure. If you put a load of manure on when it's dry, I think you're going to prevent sort of, you know, if you have some light rain, it's not going to be getting into the soil so much. It'll just be sitting on that mulch. So that is the plan. Let's see how we get on. I'm hoping these are nice and easy to dig into. That's always the $1 million question on my plot. These are the newer raised beds though, so hopefully. Oh, well, it's not super easy. Oh, wow, actually. Oh no, it is moist. Well, it actually feels quite dry. It does feel quite dry, even after all the rain we've had. Water's not really penetrated, so. Now, you might think this is a very easy problem to solve. We're allowed to use hoses on our allotment, so why don't you just leave the hose on the bed before you mulch it, JB? Well, you know me, I'm a bit of a tree hugger, I'm a bit of an ecologist at heart, and where we get all of our hose water from is chalk streams in the south of the UK. Really super rare habitat that's very, very impacted by abstraction. So that's taking water out of rivers. And it's always something I'm very mindful of. I do have a lot of rainwater, but when you've got properly dry beds, you need a lot more than a few watering cans. So I'm always quite careful about how I use water. I don't mind watering things in pots, very easy to control. I always hate the idea of dumping a load of water from a hose unnecessarily on a bed. But I think maybe up here, it is possibly worth getting the hose on these. Okay, sometime later. Now this was meant to be a really nice, light, quick video. Just pop up, put some things in the ground. And we've got the same old problems, you know. I did a little bit of digging, physically and metaphorically, I guess, into the issue. And this clay, it's really, you know, doing a bit of work on Tony's allotment the other day. You put a tool in the ground and there's just this nice, lovely, gorgeous crumbly soil underneath. It is so different from what we're working with here, folks. Now these 3 beds, they didn't get the massive loads of spent mushroom compost. That one had a little bit of the topsoil to start filling it up, but this has mostly been horse manure that I've been filling this up with, and homemade compost and spent compost and sort of what I can get my hands on. And I've just dug quite a big hole, you can see here, and it's just solid clay. In this one, I've done a bit of like an irrigation channel down the middle to just get the hose in there, try and properly saturate that bed under the nice layer at the top is lovely. It's all good organic matter, it's nice and crumbly, composty, good stuff. But that's not where the plant roots are. Plant roots are further down. If I find a little corner over here, you'll see what I mean. Nice crumbly, this is the homemade compost from home. Quite a lot of weed seed, but good texture. But it doesn't take long until we're into the dry stuff, which is quite surprising after all that rain. But further down, now this bed isn't too bad because it's had so much. You know, we're basically at the point where everything above the board, everything above the ground is lovely for things to grow in. But there we go. It just doesn't mix in. The no-dig approach, you just still end up with these solid bits of clay. They're dry, they're going to be really hard for plants to get their roots into. And like I say, it's not so much of an issue on this bed because we filled it up, but these beds, much lower. So the plants are trying to grow in that clay. It's just very frustrating. My thinking is this one is okay. We filled it up with compost, I'll probably leave it, but these two, I'm thinking about digging. We've had some success with actually digging into the clay and getting all this organic matter and compost mixed in. So probably that's what I'll be doing with these two. Instead of top dressing them now and, you know, filling these beds up, what I actually want to do is dig them a bit later in the year. It's all about the timing, because if you wait too long into winter till it starts getting really wet, you're going to destroy that texture of the clay. So kind of late autumn, I think, is when I'm going to want to dig these over, get that clay mixed in, and hopefully give everything a bit of a better chance to grow in these beds. I can't believe we're still talking about this. It's the ongoing mission on this plot. But hopefully with quite big planting holes and a really good soak, these 2 butternuts will get off, and this is south facing that way, so they should hopefully grow in that direction. And we're just doing the same here, giving us a really good saturation. You can see these leeks have barely grown at all, and I think that is almost definitely a watering problem, a lack of water, very dry beds. It's one of the other things about raised beds, isn't it? They do require a bit more watering, something I'm really not used to and slightly reluctant to do. Okay, I've been harvesting, very exciting. One thing I did want to show you just down here, look. These are all the dry beans and the peas that I harvested the other day, and a load of these little poppy seed heads. You see in there, absolutely like millions of little poppy seeds, which will be fun to scatter around. But yes, the squash plants are in and I've been harvesting. Look at this. I have taken the biggest and best looking red cabbage. Not bad, not bad. I mean, it could be bigger, but honestly, actually, it gets a bit annoying when they're too big. So that's really nice. We've got a few more of the aubergine. Ow, I've just, why? Why are they so evil, aubergines? Something I've really not gotten used to. We've got the beaver dam. This absolute mango wurzel. This is just a golden beetroot that's gone wild. Not sure exactly why that one did that. Nice little courgette we've got in here, and the tomatoes. These are quite nice little sized harvests, you know. We've got the blueberry dessert coming quite good. Quite a lot of Paul Robeson early this year. I feel like last year they took a lot longer. The Bliss, these barely make it back home. I've eaten quite a lot of these in the polytunnel. The first of the Gargamel. And I picked this one just because I thought it looked so good. And oh boy, it really does. Obviously this one's got a little bit of a strange brother attached to it, and maybe a little firm, maybe not quite ripe, that one. One thing I did want to mention, someone asked about their black cherry tomatoes and said they're really big for a cherry, and this one on the right is the black cherry next to a rosella. They look almost identical. They've got that same little green spot on top, but the black cherry are 2 times the size, I'd say. And I think the Rosella just has a slightly nicer taste. I am getting a little bit of splitting, and it's strange, isn't it? You've got automatic irrigation on a timer, some blossom end rot, some splitting. Tricky. I guess one of the things is the irrigation is on regardless of, you know, the temperature and the weather. So maybe it's not getting quite enough water when it's really, really hot, and maybe it's getting a little too much when it's cooler. But, you know, hey ho, don't care, getting good harvest. Now, the one extra thing I wanted to do, let's do a little potato harvest. Let's see how these have done under the ground. We've got a row of Golden Wonder and a row of Caledonian Rose, and the Caledonian Rose were absolutely gorgeous. And you can see we got the succession in the buckets as well. I was just thinking, it feels like it's been years since I harvested potatoes from the ground, and I think that might be because it is. I think last year I did all of my potatoes in buckets. Now, these haven't looked the healthiest, but we'll see. I did, well, hey, this is one of the beds I watered an awful lot. I was very nervous with the drought and conscious of the potatoes maybe not getting enough. So let's have a look. Oh, hello. That looks all right. I was worried these would just be like tiny little diddly things because the plants never got that big and they did die back pretty quickly. Oh, it is just one of the most satisfying things to harvest, isn't it? You can see the clay here. This raised bed I did fill up mostly with stuff that I just picked out from, I think it was mostly from what I dug out of the polytunnel when I was excavating holes for that and that sort of thing. So it's not in lovely soft compost, but I am top dressing. Ah, no. Hey, this doesn't look bad though. There's some good sized spuds in here. Quite modest, I think, for most of these plants, but I've seen a lot of people said not a great year for spuds because of the heat and the drought. There we go. I've got an absolutely lovely harvest to take home with me. It's actually quite nice having a small amount of potatoes. This is maybe like 2 dinners worth for me and Jess, so really good. Nice and manageable. Doesn't need loads of storage, prep or processing. A little bit of a shame about some of the texture issues at the end and that sort of no dig side not working, but not really a great surprise. I've had great success digging, so we'll leave it there. Thank you ever so much for watching. An extra special thank you to all of my Chili Pepper Tier patrons, Tony, Bill, Pam, Mel, Socks, Dorcas, Louise, Andre and Brett. Hopefully I'll see you again next time.